This is like the most nervous I've ever been in a long time. The most scared that I've been in a long time. The message, if you want to call it that, I feel like God's put in my heart for a while now. And I think it's pretty crazy how this message ties into what Pastor's been talking about recently. But, so the title of this message is Relationship Goals. If nobody here understands that hashtag relationship goals things, I'll just lightly explain it. They just do it on Instagram and Twitter and all these things, right? They take pictures of, let's just say, like an older couple holding hands, right? And they take on hashtag relationship goals. It speaks for yourself, right? It speaks for itself, right? You having relationship goals. And that's what I felt like God wanted me to talk about today. So anyway, this message came about, I'd say, a couple weeks ago when we had our bomb threat, our fake bomb threat. I've been going with the kids and I've been wanting to teach them more about who God is. Not necessarily just His miracles, what you're supposed to do to go to heaven and all these things. I wanted them to put a face to the name, to understand or to fall in love with somebody, not just to hear things about Him. So we've been talking about the characteristics of God, the things that Jesus did, things in the Old Testament, things in the New Testament, stuff like that. And so we started off with the adulterous woman. And all of us know that story, right? Where Jesus says, those without sin cast the first stone. So we talked about that and how God is, or Jesus is such a loving person, a caring person. And we went through this whole thing, and my brain kind of goes off topic on things a lot. I think that's why it's hard for me to write messages, or I have a thought what I know God wants me to talk about, but to put it on paper, it gets very, very difficult. I have so much stuff that's storming from my brain. But anyway, so we go through this whole conversation about questions about it, what stuck out to us, what things are interesting, and it goes further than the actual topic, right? So anyway, the whole bomb threat thing popped up. So I said, well, Lord, what do you want me to talk to the kids about? Like, what can I use this experience and teach them something with? And I felt like God put Abraham on my heart. I'm sure some of you is going to sound crazy. If you don't know me, you know I say crazy things anyway. And I'm pretty sure Pastor always has to double check the things to talk about when I'm up here or I'm talking to other people. But I assure you, I try my best to listen to God. But there's something that I felt for a long time, I thought about for a long time. And I believe that I can persuade the heart of God. I believe that when something happens that I can ask God for it not to happen. And He'll listen. And the whole bomb threat thing, when I was talking to the kids, so anyway, that's for later. The part with Abraham that we talked about was Genesis 18, 16, 31. I'm just going to read through it. The title of that part says, Abraham intercedes for Sodom. Then the men got up from their meal and looked up towards Sodom. As they left, Abraham went with them to send them on their way. Before that, above that, there's a story that's just, God and a few angels appeared to Abraham. And Abraham sees them in the distance, and he goes running to them, right? And he's basically saying, what's up, hey, I'm glad you guys came. How about you guys just come sit down in the shade of this tree? Let me get some food and some drink for you guys. And they're like, okay, so he leaves. He goes to his wife Sarah and asks her to make 3 loaves of bread. He goes and gets a tender calf, cooked up and all these things, and brings it back to them, right? And the whole time he's just chilling with them, they're eating and whatnot. And because this is just part of the story, the Lord says to him, this time next year, Sarah will be pregnant with a child. And Sarah in her head laughs, right? Like, surely me this old lady. I'm pretty sure she's about almost 100 plus already, just about there. Like, I'm gonna get pregnant, you know. And my husband, it's not gonna happen, right? And then the Lord basically says, like, why are you laughing? And she backpedals, like, I didn't laugh or anything. And I think it's funny, God just says, yes, you did, and ends it, right? The reason why I bring this up was because the concept was that he was sitting down with, God and the angels were sitting down with Abraham. That they were having a conversation and talking on these things. Right, so when they're done talking, they go up and they look towards Sodom. As they left, Abraham went with them to send them on their way. And God says, should I hide my plan from Abraham? The Lord asked. For Abraham will certainly become a great and mighty nation, and all the nations of the earth will be blessed through him. I have singled him out so that he will direct his sons and their families to keep the way of the Lord by doing what is right and just. Then I will do for Abraham all that I promised. So the Lord told Abraham, I've heard a great outcry from Sodom and Gomorrah, because their sin is so flagrant. So when I read that, words intrigued me, you know, and because I watch basketball a lot, I was like, oh, flagrant foul. I was like, oh man, it's kind of serious, you know. And if you don't know what flagrant means, I'm not going to go and look up what flagrant is, but in basketball I see it, and I was like, wow. But he says they're out there, their sin is so flagrant. I am going down to see if their actions are as wicked as I have heard. If not, I want to know. The other men turned and headed toward Sodom, but the Lord remained with Abraham. Abraham approached him and said, will you sweep away both the righteous and the wicked? Suppose you find 50 righteous people living in their city. Will you sweep it away and not spare it for their sakes? Surely you wouldn't do such a thing, destroying the righteous along with the wicked. Why? You would be treating the righteous and the wicked exactly the same. Surely you wouldn't do that. Should not the judge of all the earth do what is right? And the Lord replied, if I find 50 righteous people in Sodom, I will spare the entire city for their sake. Then Abraham spoke again. Since I have begun, let me speak further to my Lord. Even though I am but dust and ashes, suppose there are only 45 righteous people rather than 50. Will you destroy the whole city for the lack of 5? And the Lord said, I will not destroy it if I find 45 righteous people there. Then Abraham pressed his request further. Suppose there are only 40. And the Lord replied, I will not destroy it for the sake of the 40. Please don't be angry with me, Lord, Abraham pleaded. Let me speak. Suppose only 30 righteous people are found. And the Lord replied, I will not destroy it if I find 30. Then Abraham said, Since I have dared to speak to the Lord, let me continue. Suppose there are only 20. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of the 20. Finally, Abraham said, Lord, please don't be angry with me if I speak one more time. Suppose only 10 are found. And the Lord replied, then I will not destroy it for the sake of the 10. When the Lord had finished his conversation with Abraham, he went on his way, and Abraham returned to his tent. Continuing a bit more down, just a bit. That evening, the two angels came to the entrance of That evening, the two angels came to the entrance of the city of Sodom. Lot was sitting there, and when he saw them, he stood up to meet them. If you don't know who Lot is just Abraham's nephew, and he's living in Sodom. So Lot sees them. He stands up to meet them. Then he welcomed them and bowed with his face to the ground. My lords, he said, come to my home to wash your feet and be my guests for the night. You may then get up early in the morning and be on your way again. Oh no, they replied, we'll just spend the night out here in the city square. But Lot insisted. So at last they went home with him. Lot prepared a feast for them, complete with fresh bread made without yeast, and they ate. But before they retired for the night, all the men of Sodom, young and old, came from all over the city and surrounded the house. They shouted to Lot, where are the men who came to spend the night with you? Bring them out to us so we can have sex with them. So Lot stepped outside to talk to them, shutting the door behind him. Please, my brothers, he begged, don't do such a wicked thing. Look, I have 2 virgin daughters. Let me bring them out to you, and you can do with them as you wish. But please, leave these men alone, for they are my guests and under my protection. Stand back, they shouted. this fellow came to town as an outsider, and now he's acting like our judge. We'll treat you far worse than the other men. And they lunged toward Lot to break down the door. But the two angels reached out, pulled Lot into the house, and bolted the door. Then they blinded all the men, young and old, and were at the door of the house, so they gave up trying to get inside. Meanwhile, the angels questioned Lot. Do you have any other relatives here in the city? They asked. Get them out of this place, your son-in-laws, sons, daughters, or anyone else. For we are about to destroy the city completely. The outcry against this place is so great that it has reached the Lord, and he has sent us to destroy it. So Lot rushed out to tell his daughter's fiancés, quick, get out of the city, the Lord is about to destroy it. But the young man thought he was only joking. Sorry, I'm just going to speed this part up. So basically, they get destroyed. Right? Sodom gets destroyed. It's important in the story, but not for now, about the wife and turning around and turning to a bitter soul and whatnot. But so anyway, when I was reading this or speaking to the kids about this, and sharing, my heart was to share with them that that God would listen to us. You mean that we can talk to Him. That how Abraham was trying to convince God that if there's only this much people, will you at least do this? Will you not destroy the city? There's just this much good people in there, right? And he goes from 50 down to 10. My assumption, I'm not correct. My assumption is he knew his nephew lived there, so I'm pretty sure that he was trying to also make sure his nephew wouldn't die. If that was me, that's what I would be doing at least. And he talks about there's Lot, his wife. He has like 2 daughters, 2 husbands, and whatever else. So I would assume there's at least. He assumed that there's 10, right? So that's how my brain works. That he was pleading that, and I'm pretty sure there's 10 people there. I'm pretty sure I can convince God to spare this place if my nephew lives there. So, I've learned this past few weeks that God speaks to me in many ways, but in 3 ways the strongest, I guess. And one of those ways is when I read. I've noticed when I read, because God knows that I'm intrigued by words, history, stories, science, that He tends to use things to boggle my mind. So instead of just face value reading, and once I'm intrigued, I read that forever, searching, Googling, reading all these things, trying to figure it out. And that's one of the strongest ways that God speaks to me. Another way is just me sitting down by myself, whether I'm driving or I'm just laying in bed by myself with my eyes open and the legs are all dark, and just conversating, talking about things, asking questions, and I like to say that I'm talking to God, but sometimes it feels like it just sounds like I'm talking to myself. But that's what I do, you know what I mean? And that's another way I feel like God reveals a lot of things to me through. But I've learned this past couple weeks that God speaks to me super strongly when I'm speaking to other people. I don't know if some of you guys do this, but when I'm talking to somebody about something about God, a lot of things, I don't realize it till later, but a lot of things that I'm talking about, I really don't remember that I knew. It's like not even about God. I retain information very well in the sense that it gets locked in my brain. But if you're going to just ask a question about something I just learned, I'll forget. Like, you can ask me about the message tomorrow, even if I wrote the message, and half of it will be out of my brain already. But if I'm talking to somebody and it starts to get passionate, I guess, there's a lot of things behind my brain that I picture like a Rolodex that just pops forward. And I think that's how God reveals things to me. So anyway, so I'm talking to the kids about this, and when I'm talking to them, this Rolodex is just flipping in my brain. Which amazes me, to be able to talk and keep on point with somebody or a bunch of people, and then have all these other things just popping and like conversating about at the same time. And God, when I'm talking to the kids, God asks me this question, but I don't answer it when I'm talking to them. But He asks me this question, and it was, why Abraham and not Lot? So I went home and I read through that story again, and this is my assumption, okay? This is what I feel like God told me Um, so, yeah. Why Abraham and not Lot? I started to think about, well, Abraham was a really strong guy. He's really, in the sense that he was close to God. And what I started to research, and I started to go back, and it's pretty amazing. I started to go back, because Abraham's only chapter 18 of the first book, right, of Genesis. So I started to go back to all the chapters before, and I noticed that there's not a lot of people that were like Abraham. The first encounter you get of somebody close to God is Adam. And we know how that story ends. And then as I read chapter upon chapter, even when they go and talk about other people, like they mention, what's his name, Cain and Abel and Seth. And then I think about those people and I think, hey, were they great men of God, in my opinion? I was like, not really, right? So I go through the list, they go through the genealogies of these people, and there's nothing. I read a bunch of like 30 names, and there's nobody that really sticks out to me. There might have been a name that I've heard, but I'm pretty sure that's later, not those exact guys. And then Noah pops up. And okay, so I'm reading about Noah, right? So he's the next guy after Adam that God finds favor in. So I'm, okay, God, what makes Noah so special? Like, what is it about Noah? And it says, I'll throw it down. You can go for it. It says, Noah walked with God. It didn't say anything that Noah was perfect. It didn't say that Noah did all his sacrifices, or Noah did this, and Noah did that. All it said was Noah walked with God. I was like, well, that's pretty cool, because he walked with you, and the first guy literally walked with you. And my personal opinion is that I assume that Noah did it better. So I continue to read about Noah and go to the chapters, and the same thing happens. They mention his kids, right? And a bunch of other people, the genealogies. And once again, nobody really sticks out to me. Nobody strong. And this is like, I don't even know how to assume, hundreds and hundreds of years later, from Adam to Noah, and from Noah, the next person we get is Abraham. And there's nobody else that sticks out that, or at least in the Bible, that God specifically says he uses, and then Abraham pops up, or Abram pops up. And I was just super intrigued, right, by this thing. So I'm going to this thing to try to answer why Abraham and not Lot. Then another thing popped in my brain is a comparison. I compare myself in just, in a literal way. If Abraham was the best, and then Lot to me should have been the second best, only in the sense that Lot followed Abraham. That's how my brain works, right? So I put myself in the picture. I said, okay, my uncle's like our guy who's like all good, right, and whatnot, and he's the closest to God and all these things, you know what I'm saying? So if anybody else is following, it's those of us who follow. So I put myself as second, right? So well, if I'm following the guy who's super in love with God, then I should be able to be the second person who's super in love with God if I'm following the things he's doing and doing the same intentions, right? That's the smart way with love. And then it's funny because if you read in there, it says that God says, well, I'm here to basically see if Sodom is as bad as it really is. So that's why I said, why Abraham and not Lot? Because if anybody knew how bad Sodom was, it was Lot, because he was living there. So he knew the experiences. We read how he was going to give up his 2 daughters for these guys, right? So he knew the system. I'm pretty sure when he told them, oh no, come inside and sleep here. They, oh no, we'll sleep out here. He's probably like, I don't think you want to sleep out there. Come inside. So why Abraham and not Lot, right? That's the thing God keeps telling me. And that's when I was thinking about Noah and all these things. I'm backtracking Abraham and trying to read something. What makes him special? What makes him so worthy for God to use in such a great way? We can bless him with generations as more than the stars. You know what I mean? What makes him like that? I have come to the conclusion on my own that there was nothing. There was nothing special about Abraham. There was nothing special about Adam. There was nothing special about Noah. The only thing special about them, what I believe, was that they walked with God. And that's, I hope I'm making sense, but that's what blew my mind. Like, it doesn't matter, Pastor been talking about it, it doesn't matter what I do, how great I am, any of that. My relationship with God matters. And I almost broke down in tears as in joy, in understanding, I guess. Abraham was talking to God and was bold enough to say, what if there's only 50, right? He's the God of gods. Abraham knows who he is, how powerful he is. He probably knows that I shouldn't really be questioning God and asking all these things, but he does. And he said to himself, right, I've spoke a little bit too much, Lord. I shouldn't have been saying these, but listen to me again. He goes from 50 people down to 45, down to 40, 30, 20, 10. There's something else that God blew my brain away with. And that was the fact that he listens. That the question that popped up was, where I felt like God told me, did I have to talk to Abraham? I made a decision that, and I already knew the song was bad. I know everything. And I knew that I was going to destroy Sodom. So I felt like God said, why did I ask him? Why did I even bring up the whole concept of destroying Sodom? Right? We read earlier that he says, after he talks to him, they're having food, right? They're standing out by the tree and they're looking over at Sodom, and God asks the other guys, right? Do I tell Abraham what my plans are for Sodom? Do I share with him? So which that intrigued me in the sense that he wanted to keep Abraham in the loop. That it didn't matter what his opinion was, because he knew it was going to happen anyway, right? And then he starts to talk to Abraham, and this is what blew my mind with God. Abraham is sharing his heart. And he's not just asking to ask, he's asking questions, trying to persuade God because he knows God. He says, surely you will destroy the wicked and the righteous together. Right? My term says, I know you better than that. I know that you wouldn't do this, so why are you going to do that? I don't understand. I know there's only 30 people you wouldn't destroy. You're a loving God. You're a caring God. You're this kind of God. I know you wouldn't do that, right? And I picture God like this. Abraham's asking him the questions, and God's just smiling. And God is like, what was that, Abraham? Why there's only 50, Lord? And he said, there's not 50. I know there's not 50. But he sits there, and in my words, entertains Abraham. This is what I wrote down because my wife, I can talk to my wife and she's mad at me all the time. If I know the answer for something and she talks to me about something, I cut it off already. So we can be, she's like, oh, you know that this, oh, I already know that already. She's like, oh, but this and that. No, that's not the answer to that. It's this. You know, God could have easily said, sorry, Abraham, there's not 50. In fact, I know you're going to say there's 10, and there's not even 10. So at the end of the day, I'm destroying Sodom. He didn't say that. He sat there and listened over and over to Abraham plead his case. What does that say to you? That says to me that God was just wanting to have a conversation. To begin with, right? He went over there. It's like me talking now, right? And I look outside and there's God and an angel, I guess. I see that I don't recognize them, but I know that's not humans. There's something special about them, right? And he comes over here and he starts talking. What was the whole reason for that? I mean, when he came to Abraham, what was the reason? He didn't have to. The same reason why he didn't have to share about Sodom. He didn't need his input. He didn't need to know if Sodom was good from Abraham, because he could have went to Lot, who would have known more. He just wanted to chill. That's what I'm trying to get at. That God just wanted to sit down with his child and have a conversation. The same way he wanted to do that with Adam and Eve. He wanted to sit down and walk with his kids. You know what I mean? He said when they ate the fruit and they heard God walking in the garden and they hid, right? And we always talk about how that must have been crazy to know that God was literally walking in the garden. Noah walked with God. They had strong relationships with God. And that's what I felt like God was telling me. That the key to this whole thing doesn't matter how perfect you are, like I said. Doesn't matter how good, how much you do, how much people you bring to church, how much people you bring to God, how great your messages are, which is good for me. But all that matters is your connection to Him. Because all He wants to do, from what I've been reading, is just chill. He wants to talk stories. There's something that, I shouldn't say this, I know I'm getting recorded, but my sister-in-law and her husband, I always say that, wow, my sister-in-law is so much like her husband. And she wasn't like that before, but she's so much like her husband. And I noticed, and you probably noticed this too, when someone's in a relationship, if not both of them, one of them at least changes more like the other. Does anybody agree with that or disagree? Right. One becomes more like the other. And I believe that's inevitable. So I'm hoping that my wife just becomes more like me, and she's just a little more stubborn. But, so, the key to me was the relationship between man and God. I mean, a personal relationship between man and God. The perfection that we might seek, the glory that we might seek, the good deeds that we seek, the closeness to God that we seek, all these things that we seek in church, that we think that we're supposed to be doing to get to the area God wants us at, all becomes possible when in constant relationship with Him. Because when you're in constant relationship with Him, then you eventually become like Him. You know what I mean? The more you chill with Him, the more He rubs off on you. There's no way you're going to rub off on God. God's not going to become like you. That's just not going to happen. So, I feel like God told me the key is relationship. That's what I want people to understand. And it's not just like, oh yeah, relationship. Like, I mean like deep relationship. Like, He wants that conversation. There's a lot of other people in the Bible who had great relationships that I believe with God. Another person was David. You know what I mean? David was the, what do you call that? It said like the man after my own heart, right? A guy that I assume that God could agree with, that he knew God, he walked with God, he knew the stories, he knew all these things, right? We had the story about David and Goliath. And everybody is bigger than David, and they're all going to war, but they're scared of Goliath, who's a giant, right? And David comes in there all strong, right? Like basically saying, like, God is with us. Why are you scared for? If our God is this guy and He did all this, why are you scared of this little this giant? Right? Why are you afraid? You get Caleb and Joshua, right? The same thing. Go to the land and check out this land is good. Oh, it's good. The other guy says, yeah, it's good, but this giant is there. Why are you afraid for? God is with us. They knew God. They understood God. I believe that the relationship with God was pretty good. That they understood they didn't have to be afraid of nothing. That God is better, bigger, and everything else. Moses. Like I said before, Moses is my favorite guy. And I think I realized this today. Moses is so great in my brain that I made up stories about Moses. I had this vision of Moses that I thought I read, but when I was reading today, I kind of mixed the two ends of one story together. I was like, oh, forgive me, Lord. But I think the concept is still the same. But there's a story about that Moses loved God, and I'm pretty sure God loved Moses. And even Moses, we know that wasn't perfect. You know what I mean? And God just, God allowed him to see him, right? He was doing his shepherding and sees this burning bush and is intrigued by it, right? And God overwhelms him, right? He follows God. He does the things God calls him to do. And I mean, he goes through all these people. There's this story that I've twisted in my brain, where all these people say, Moses, why do you think only you are the great one that can come to God and talk to God? Like, all of us know God, so we've all been there since day one, you know what I mean? And I'm pretty sure they're even saying things like, you wasn't even born in us, you was somewhere else in Egypt, and then finally came, so you're not even pure, that's my word, so. We was here forever. My great-grandpa used to always talk about God's stuff, you don't know nothing. And God, well, I think someone gave Moses and Aaron. And God defends him, right? God, if you turn to, write this down, because this is pretty crazy. Numbers 12, 6 through 8. And this is what God says about Moses then. And the Lord said to them, now listen to what I say. If there were prophets among you, I, the Lord, would reveal myself in visions. I would speak to them in dreams, but not with my servant Moses. Of all my house, he is the one I trust. I speak to him face to face, clearly, and not in riddles. He sees the Lord as he is. So why are you not afraid to criticize my servant Moses? That's crazy. I don't really understand what just happened. But he says, my words, that's my homeboy. Like, you have to read, my words again, you have to read the things I said in riddles to understand it. But I speak to him clearly. I just tell him, right? The same thing with Abraham. I don't have to talk to him about this, but I did. Because I have a relationship with him. I want to talk with him. I want to share with him. He's the one I trust. I speak to him face to face. He sees the Lord as he is. And I just thought that was crazy. Not to get all the time, trying to get off track here. I just thought that was crazy. That the relationship was so tight with these certain guys that it wasn't anything special about the things they did. It was just their love for God. You know what I mean? Because God loved them. And all of us, every single one of us can have that that deep relationship. And I'm going to share a part of the crazier part, that's why I talk to the kids about the whole bomb threat. So, a few years ago I came to the conclusion that if there is ever be a threat, whether it be a nuclear bomb, whether it be something where my family will die, and I have no control over it, I said that I'm going to go outside and confront it face to face. That's just me. I'm not saying so you're supposed to listen to me. That's just how I am. And I said, you know what? If a bomb comes one day, then I'm going to go out there and stand against it. I'm going to stand there by myself and pray against it. And all these things, right? With a concept that I can persuade that. I know. Some people may believe in that. Some people may agree. Some people may disagree. Either way, it won't change what I think, right? So I was sharing to the kids about Abraham. I felt like God was sharing with me a link to something like that. After listening, or talking to the kids and listening to what God was telling me, my heart changed very small, but a different direction with that whole bomb thing. That when it happened that day, I grabbed my kids. My wife was at work, I had prayed for her. But I grabbed my twins and they're the only one with me. I laid them down on my bed and I prayed. You know what I mean? I prayed, God, if they anything God, forgive me. God, tell me now, forgive my kids. And then we just prayed and I just laid down my kids. And I said, can't do anything about it. They said, I've accepted it. There's nothing bad about accepting it. You know what I mean? This is what's going to happen. But after this thing, God restirred that thing for me, rekindled it, where I'm going to connect my relationship with God so tight that, and it's so funny that only now I said God speaks to me when I'm speaking, not only now it connects. This is what I just realized now, this is my heart before, that I told God, there is, when I don't see no more Old Testament prophets, right? I see New Testament prophets, which isn't bad. I see people who sharing the word and all these things, but I don't see no Old Testament prophets. Lord, I'm going to be an Old Testament prophet. That if anybody is going to do anything great, I want you to use me. That was what my heart was before. And once again, like I said, because as a kid, Moses was my favorite, and I guess that just influenced all these things in my brain. But so I guess that's where it began. I want to be used for something more than the small things. The small things are good, I'll do them. But I also want to be out there, and like I said, I want to be, if you haven't even be Moses, if you watch this TV show, my wife thinks I'm stupid, you know? Because I do think ridiculous. I think it's our family just have this weird, I think something's missing. in our brain. That's what I think. To be honest, something is missing, but I'm okay with that. And it's called, what's that TV show called? It's about the four horsemen, and they do all these things. What's it called? Sleepy Hollow. That's what it's called. And like I said, I'm intrigued with some of that. But this show interweaves God and history and does up and other crazy stuff. Right? It's not biblical, but it's fun to watch. And they're talking about they're talking about Revelations, right? How all these things are leading to it and whatnot. And the two in Revelations, I forget this stuff. There's the two guys the two witnesses, right? They speak tongues of fire, and we're watching stuff. I told her, that's me. And she's like, what? I go, yeah, that's me. That's me one day. I'm going out there. I do what God told me to do. I'm getting murdered in front of everybody and die, and come back. And God will use me. Yeah. And so that's just so funny. And it's so, like I said, so easy to be seen in my family because I was laughing with my cousin Kama one day, but he's like, oh, I feel the same way. And I think it's just the heart to be used by God. I'm pretty sure my other cousin feels the same way, or our pastor feels the same way. But I decided that night that I'm not going to sit down, that I'm failing. I told God in prayer, I'm sorry. I ask for forgiveness for the things I've done wrong, and I ask for forgiveness for not doing the things you call me to do. That the things that I failed at, forgive me for. That if I haven't done all the things you called me to do, forgive me for that. I mean, I made that mistake on slacking, wasting my time. Forgive me. After that night, I said, you know what, Lord? I'm connecting to you. I'm not going to connect to you on the level of, I know who God is. I know all the stories. I know what this is like. I'm speaking. I'm not doing that connection. My connection is going to be, I walk with God connection. That when that day comes, whether people believe it or not, right? If Obama was to come, that I can persuade my God that if this is possible, Lord, can this happen? You mean that I'm going to go outside, and it's so funny because I remember this, and I think it was for the women, but I think it was my sister, Ash. I think it was either her or Shan, and they had this dream, and a bunch of ladies holding hands, and this giant tidal wave coming, and they're praying. It's a pretty crazy dream, you know. And when I was going through this conversation with God, that's what popped in my head, and I said, you know what, Lord, that's my heart. That when bad things come our way, I'm going to be that guy that's so connected to you that you sit down and you listen to me. That you can sit down and say, I just want to see what's he going to do, right? And not just not do it like how he did to Abraham, but do it, because there's also a story, this is the story of Moses, which I've twisted throughout the years in my brain. Moses, all these guys are complaining about Moses and saying, we know God, so we're not only you special. And Moses, I thought in my brain that God was mad, right? That God was like, no, they're not special, tell them to do this. But that was Moses. Moses was angry. And they called him to do I think God calls him to have an offering, right? They build their own altars and have an offering. And he says, we'll see who's worthy. So anyways, they like their offering. And no one's worthy. He tells Moses and Aaron to get away, right? They burn their offerings and the ground opens up, right? And they die. Later on, right, I've confused this end. I've confused the end of the story into this side. But later on, after that happens, like maybe a day or so, the people continue to complain and they bring the same thing, and then God gets mad and says, what are you talking about? You know what I mean? And then God brings down fire upon his people. And he's killing his people. And Moses and Aaron talk, and they build an altar, right? And when they build the altar and lay the offering, they ask God to withdraw his wrath from his people. They say the same things that Abraham was saying, was, I know you're not like this. I know that you're a great God, and that you're a loving God, and I know this is your people, and you wouldn't do this to your people. please be the God that you say you are, right? And if you don't believe me, go ahead and read it. See me later and I'll go and find the exact spot with this theory of Moses. And anyway, so they're saying these things, and God basically says, because of this man, I withdraw my anger. And that just blows my brain away. That, like I said, it's not about I am a great God and you follow me. It's not about that. Our God is super, super, super intimate. And that was the whole purpose of even creating you. You know what I mean? It was to be intimate with his children, to be able to chill, as they walk with Adam and Eve, to chill with everybody else. That's what he desires. Like Pastor says, he doesn't, I might have to change my words. He doesn't desire perfection, because he knows you cannot be perfect, right? I didn't use it on purpose, but I was sitting down and I read this. And this is from the concert we went to with that Mercy Me. And in the middle it says, the cross has made you flawless, right? And it's a song with it. He already did all the things that you couldn't do. It wasn't about you being perfect and all that stuff. That's not what he wants from you. All these things you stretch your arms for trying to achieve is not unachievable. It's achievable when your relationship with him is super, super tight. When you start to live in a way that you make God smile. When you start to live in a way where God just, and I think we have this in book reading, where God just wants to come back and he wants to sit down with Ed, and I want to hear what he says again. I want to hear him say that story that I did with him and how it touched his heart and how he wants to do all these things, right? I want to sit down with this certain person and listen to what they say about me. I enjoy when they talk about me. I enjoy when we talk to each other. That's what I want. I'm not trying to drag this thing out, but that's the biggest the biggest thing I think is important in our walk. I want us to just remember that even if you're not reading all the time, don't kill yourself over it. You know what I mean? I hate reading my Bible app personally. I have my cousin's request to my Bible app, and I see it all the time. I don't accept it. The reason why I don't accept it is because I do things different. You know what I mean? I don't let myself. I hate saying this sounds wrong. I don't let myself to be dictated, I guess, by other people's ways of thinking or whatnot. Makes sense. I read when I want to read. I read how I want to read. If I'm not reading every single day, for me, it doesn't bother me in the sense that I'm not reading every single day, because there's days where I can sit down for it and read super and get so much stuff from God and process myself over and over. So if there's days that I've missed a day, it doesn't bother me, you know? But does that mean that that's how it's supposed to be all the time? No. You know what I mean? So I don't accept the requests because someone else could be like, oh, why didn't I read today? Oh, he must be slacking, right? Or oh, I guess I'm not allowed to read all the time because he's not reading all the time. You know what I mean? But that's just where I've grown into. Another thing I hate about this Bible app, that I do not do, because I can judge myself off it, is that stupid check mark thing. Now you've not just checked it, but you've done so many days in a row. You're on a streak. That's so loser, right? Because without you knowing it, that's placed in the back of your brain. I gotta read because I don't want to break my streak. And then what else? I don't want anybody else to see that I broke my streak. I'm like 30 days deep, right? And then it's just crazy. Then you myself that I've read for not reading. I've read just to read, you know? So that's just my personal stuff. I've gone further than I was supposed to, but I forgot where it's headed. But like I said, it's a relationship with God. That's what matters, not the perfection, not how much you read, not how great your prayers are, not all these other things. None of that matters, because when you connect with God, and this is my biggest, or one of my biggest ways with God, is that I conversate all the time. And it doesn't mean that I go, dear Lord, please do this today. It's not that I'm praying, I believe praying and conversating is two different things, and that I can pray in my conversation, but I stay connected to Him, that I continuously talk to Him all the time. Which is why it doesn't bother me if I'm not reading all the time, or if I forgot to read one day, or if I never pray for every single day that I usually set myself in a system to pray for. And because I know I'm connected. And I'm not trying to, I know it sounds crazy and it could be blasphemy, you're saying all the wrong thing. But that's not, the heart is like, I stay connected. I'm trying my best to be connected without the laws or the things holding me back, without my own brain saying, why you never do this today? Because I know that's not what he calls me for. That's not what he expects from me. That when I can talk to him and build this relationship with him, then eventually I'm going to read more. Eventually I'm going to sit there and pray more. That I'm going to set, that's what it's called that, you know? All these people that we talked about, all these things happening, that's why it's called #relationship goals. Because this should be how the goals for your relationship with God. It's not just a relationship where we just talk stories all the time and do this and do that, or make my relationship goals that I read every day, or that I make a list of what all the people I'm going to pray for today. That it's supposed to be a relationship. I mean, to the deepest end. The more your relationship with God is, the tighter it is, the more things happen that are supposed to be happening. The more you tend to read, the more you tend to pray, because God's heart now turns to his heart. Or your heart now turns to God's heart, right? The things that, that's what it meant when it says that David was a man after my own heart. It doesn't mean that he was chasing God's heart and he said, I want to please God. His stuff was that God's heart was his heart. The things that God wanted was something that David wanted. That he wanted for love with people. He wanted to do this. All these other guys we read about, they knew that. God, why you kill your people? I know that's not your heart. I know that's not this. I have to watch. There's this movie called there's a movie called it's an angel movie. Hey, do you remember that one movie where they had the angels fighting? Yeah, Legion. Anybody seen that movie, Legion? Yeah. That's the movie, though it's not biblical, is what changed my mindset about God's stuff, yeah? And if I'm not mistaken, right, Gabriel defies God. God says, man are bad. I don't like them anymore. Kill them all. He sends the angels to kill them all. So they come down, they're killing them, right? And Gabriel defies God, says, no, I'm not listening to you. I'm going to protect them. So he protects this certain group of people because there's this baby, and blah, blah, blah. He ends up fighting Michael, right? The other archangel. And Michael kills Gabriel. And then what happens? Gabriel comes back to life. And Michael's like, what the heck? Like, why you back to life? And Gabriel told him that you made a big mistake. Was that you followed God for the things he said. But I knew his heart. That this was his people. And he never intended to kill his people. Sorry. He never intended to kill his people. So God brought Gabriel back. And Gabriel killed Michael. The guy that was actually following his stuff. I mean, it's not biblical, yeah? But I'm saying that the heart was that I believe that we can learn a lot more about God as well when we're in deeper relationship with him as a relationship, and God reveals so much more things. Not just the only things that he wrote about, the things that he really wants to share with you. You know what I mean? We can read, and it's not saying not to read, but we can read and just read and never build a super strong relationship with him and never hear what he really needs to say. You know what I mean? The things he really needs to say. I'm at a point now where I can sound super, super ignorant. When someone tells me something, I say, no, this is what this says. My head goes, no, I know that's not what it is because I feel like it's what God told me. And whether I'm right or wrong, God gotta tell me you're wrong. You know what I mean? He gotta say to me, Rambo, you're wrong because I already felt like he told me this and this is how it's supposed to be and I'm gonna listen to what he says because I feel like I'm connected to him, that I'm trying to learn him. Just like a relationship, right? What's the meaning of a relationship? It's not just, I'm gonna share something. I found out my daughter ended up having a boyfriend. My daughter's 11 now. And my wife shared with me, I almost lost my brain. We're done bowling. She's so smart. She shares with me like 11 o'clock at night when we're about to go to bed. And I'm laying there, I'm quiet. My fists are clenched in the dark. And she's like, oh, just tonight, are you okay? Is everything alright? Don't talk to me. Don't talk to me right now. I lay in my bed and can't sleep. I want to go in my room, just rip her out of her bed and go crazy, right? Like I said, it's the relationship. So like me and my wife, we have things that I'm pretty sure all of you have this, yeah? But if I can be laying on this side of my bed, and she'll come in here, and the light's here, and then she'll ask me to off the light. Anybody else have that? That their spouse does that to them? And my brain goes nuts. So like, are you serious? Like I'm angry. Like you ask me when I'm comfortable in my bed, away from the light, to get up so you can lay down and off the light. Like what? How do? I get up and off the light. Right? But I'm angry. Right? Can you please make me food? Like what are you talking about? You're grown. You make your own food. Sign in. And I'm so hungry. Please. That she does. Like, please, I love you. Like, but I get up and make her food because I love her. There's something that when I was going through, something that I felt like God told me. Because if I didn't, that made me bugging. Right? If she asked me for doing something I didn't want to do, and I didn't do it, then it's not really my terms yet. I don't really care about her the way I say I care about her. Right? Even if it's dumb little things that then off in the light. Right? Because I love her, I do things that I find uncomfortable to do. You know what I mean? Because I love God, I'm going to read more. Because I love God, I'm going to want to pray more. In fact, I want my prayer to be better, so let me create a list of people that, pray for a list of people that God wants me to pray for. I'm going to pray for it, right? That's because I love Him, right? Because I love God, I want to make sure I'm doing all these other things for God. Not because that's the right thing to do, not because I'm supposed to. That's things I want to do because I love Him so much that I've changed, that I walk with Him, that I'm now more like Him. And what turns His heart, makes His heart happy, makes my heart happy. Relationship goals, right? That's the end of the message, guys. Just bargain and close your eyes.